Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where I'll be running through my 2024 quad Cortex setup. So essentially what I've recreated is my own pedal board. I used to be analog and digital effects, and now I've migrated to digital only. And I'm going to run through today my quad Cortex preset, including all the scenes that I use in a live setting. So without further ado, let's get to it. So I'll run through some of the scenes and go through what each of those look like, how I've set it up, and explain the reasons why I've chosen this setup the way I have. So starting all the way on scene A, what we can see here is, if I go open my Cortex control, we have the transpose at the very beginning. So this is purely always on, currently set to 0 semitones, but if I wanted to quickly change the configuration of the guitar to E flat or down tune multiple steps, I can do that here, and it has just the option for it. So I use a bit of the CPU for that reason. The next in the chain is the dual compressor. It's one of the stock compressors in the quad Cortex. And as you can see here, it's just a light compression. I've got 4.9, a little bit of EQ in the middle, slight boost to the volume, and then the high cut on as well. But the mix is pretty even, so it's quite subtle, but I find it just lifts the sound a little bit, particularly on the cleans. And then in terms of the main amp sound, what I've got here is the Pliny Clean sound. So this is from the Pliny X plugin, which has recently been ported over to the quad Cortex. So I've imported that. I really like the Pliny Clean sound, so I really enjoy using that for the core tone, for the cleaner sounds in the quad Cortex. And I'm running that into the Sir V-Type 10212, as you can see there, which is set to mono, and the settings as you can see on screen. The only other thing for this first sound is just a tiny bit of hall reverb, just to add a little bit of roundness to it. It can sound a bit hollow if you don't have any subtle reverb on the clean sounds, I find. So what it sounds like is simply this. So really clean. So really clean sound, not too much going on, but if I want to do anything that's just super clean, particularly things like funk, it's quite nice for that sort of thing, so really crisp and clear. So moving on to the scene 2, or scene B, again, transpone's engaged but not adjusting anything. Got the compressor dual on again with the same settings. The only difference here is I've got a rotary effect on there, which again is the standard in quad Cortex. So here you can see the settings. If I just play through so you can hear it before I explain it all. Just a really nice, simple rotary effect, not too fast. So I got using the slow speed around 1.65 hertz, sorry. Fast speed around 3.65 hertz, sync off, acceleration 15%, and drive 20% with a bit more brightness added to it as well. That's running into the Pliny amp again with the settings as you can see on the screen, and the same speaker as I was using for the first sound. So it sounds pretty much the same as the scene A, but just with the rotary speaker enabled as an extra effect. Cool, so moving on to scene C. So as you can hear there, quite a nice little delay sound with just a little bit of gain, which we didn't have before. So same amp, same from Pliny, and same cab configuration, and the same little hint of reverb. Main difference being we've added the Pliny compressor because I quite like the way it sounds with this slightly more gritty sound. And then we've got the Pliny drive enabled as well. So we've got the overdrive mode, drive and tone set right in the middle, and then level slightly off just because otherwise it gets a bit hot. And then, unlike the sound so far, we've added a tape delay, which you can see the settings on screen here. And we've also added a digital delay. Again, you can see the settings here, but essentially it's creating the kind of Andy Timmons effect, which I really like, which has two different tempos for the digital delay. So it's got that chicka chicka chick chicka 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 chick sort of sound, which I really like for the clean sound in particular. On dirty sounds, it can get a bit messy if you use this delay I found, but I really like it for the clean sound. You get some really nice atmospheric kind of sounds with it, whether it's ringing out chords or doing some interesting kind of subtle lead work. Moving on to scene D. Again, pretty similar as you can see. There's when I sit from between C and D, there's not actually a huge amount that changes on here, but it's just the settings within it. And I've set these to specific settings within each scene. So if we look at the tape delay now, you can see a slight tweak to the settings for the delay and the reverb, but it's particularly the reverb which has changed. So I'll cycle through these slowly so you can take a note of the different settings. And then finally we get to the new reverb which gets added for this one, which is the Pliny reverb from Pliny X. Really big space, long decay. Mix is about 44%, so it doesn't become just lost in the mix. And the low pass settings, as you can see there. So if we play something with this preset. I used to have it much more heavy in the mix, so mix around at 70 to 80%, but as much as it sounded great in isolation, as soon as you put it into a band situation, just completely lost and really didn't cut through. So I realized bring down the mix a bit. May not sound as ambient and kind of super wet as it does sound isolated, but I think this really works. Moving on to scene E, now we're getting into the more kind of rock and dirty sounds. So as you can see, the amp has changed. And now using the Friedman 100 lead amp with the settings that you can see on screen. And we also have the new cab, which is 4112 EV Straight G12 00SM mono, and then a bit of EQ added as well. So you can see the parametric 3 EQ here, just a slight tweak to the gain and frequency, and the Q at 0.71. I find this just tightens up the sound a little bit, which I quite like. So this is a very light gain sound, so this is very much maybe in a kind of verse or something that's just a bit crunchy. So yeah, as you can see, quite a light gain. Again, in a live setting, it cuts through because I've kept the mids there. Works really well. As you can see here, the mid is slightly pushed, slightly pushing treble, and the bass is quite high as well. So it has a really nice fat round sound, which I quite like. Not great for modern metal, but the next preset is where that comes in. So if I leave in this Freeman 100 lead in place and move to the next preset, you can see now we've got much more gain, gone up to 6. Bass, mid, treble, 7, 6.5, and 6.5. And if I toggle back, you can see the presence, a little bit more presence added to it as well. Yeah, a lot of fun. I really like the sound. I've been playing a lot with different heavy rhythm sounds, and I keep coming back to this 3-in-100 lead amp. I think it's really great. Comes stock in the Quad Cortex, and yeah, really love it. So it works really well for me. And enabling the next sound, which is the first of the solo sounds. Again, using the 3-in-100, this time with a little bit of delay and a little bit of hall reverb as well, as you can see on the screen here. Again, keeping the parametric 3 in place, that EQ, and then the 3-in-100 lead settings, as you can see there. So cool, really nice, atmospheric. If you have a slightly quieter song or a more atmospheric kind of vibe, it's really great for that. Again, it cuts through the mix without having too much gain, which is great. So moving on to the final sound, which is essentially the same, just with more gain. You start getting the harmonics through and have a bit more sort of heavy rock solos that I can play with. So very fun. So that's all the sounds on the Quad Cortex I have. For this year, it's always changing. That's a great thing with these things, is that, you know, you get the setup how you like, and then a few months later, you kind of hear things that you're not so keen on anymore, and you can change it anytime without buying new pedals, which is the particularly useful thing. So if you found this video useful, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear thoughts on what your setup sounds like, what presets you're using, and how you work the scenes as well. If you like this video and you'd like to have more videos like this, let me know down below as well, and make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you in the next episode.